The model starts out with this idea of the organizational unit. As you all know, in the state of Ohio, we have different grade levels within different grade bands for schools throughout the system. To give you a quick example, here in Central Ohio, there's one school district that has in one school building only kindergarten and first grade students in one school building. In another school district in Central Ohio, they have one high school that has over 2,200 students in that one high school. And so under our model, we can accommodate those type of differences across the state of Ohio. You can go to other parts of the state and you will find all 13 grade levels, K through 13, in one school building. And so in order to accommodate the diversity in the state of Ohio, we came up with this concept of an organizational unit, and we based the organizational unit for different grade bands on research. And so the research and our research of what the averages are in the state of Ohio, and also what the School Facilities Commission have adopted for the School Facilities Project is consistent with the student ranges that we have developed for elementary schools, middle schools, and high schools. But because we have a number of school districts in the state that have fewer than 800 students, for our model we had to come up with a way to treat that school district similar to other organizational units. And so in our model, a school district that's less than 800 students is treated as one organizational unit in our model. But again, we decided to use the organizational unit as the foundation because of the great diversity in the state of Ohio. When we look at our ADM counts, we are using the October head count for students from the previous year to calculate the ADM for students, as opposed to the current system where it's current year October count and a count in the springtime, and an average of those two counts. In the Ohio evidence-based model, at the district level, we are funding one superintendent, one treasurer, one registered nurse. And at the building level, or at the organizational unit level, we are funding one principal, one counselor for every 250 students in high school and middle school. We are funding 2 non-instructional aides for elementary and middle schools, and 3 per high school, for every high school. We are funding 1 school secretary per organizational unit, and 1 school clerk or school administrative manager per elementary and middle school, and 3 school clerks or school administrative managers for high school. And the school clerk and school administrative manager is really going to be an important position because, as you probably already are aware of, especially in our elementary school buildings, and again, I think also for our middle schools, many times the person that is assigned the duty and responsibility to input data into our EMIS system, are the secretaries in those school buildings. So you have secretaries who are trying to answer the phone, respond to parents and others who are entering the school building, and to deal with a number of other issues in the school office. They are trying to deal with that, but also have the responsibility to be data input processors or data processors for the EMIS system. And as you probably are well aware of, the EMIS system is really the driver for our school funding system. All of the data that we use to determine our resources for school funding purposes is primarily based on the EMIS system. So the EMIS system is very important, and we felt that it was essential to have a person that would be dedicated to input that data into the system, and especially because we have greater accountability, we want to make sure that that data is accurate in the system. In addition, at the organizational unit level, as I mentioned before, we have a nurse wellness coordinator, 4 subjects of math, English, science, and so forth. And those core teachers will be provided according to the following ratios. For kindergarten through 3rd grade, is 1 teacher for every 15 students. And for 4th grade through 12th grade, is 1 teacher for every 25 students. We have a lower ratio at the K through 3 level because the research shows that at those grade levels, that's where you get the most effectiveness with your dollars. And then at the higher grade levels, having a lower class size is not as important as it is for the lower grade We have specialist teachers in our model that will be funded to provide art, music, career tech, and physical education. We are providing these specialist teachers, one specialist teacher for every 5 core teachers in an organizational unit. We also are funding the lead teacher or the lead educator that we talked about when I went over the career ladder. These lead educators will be the primary person responsible for providing support and mentoring for resident educators and also for other educators in the organizational unit. And we're providing one lead teacher per each organizational unit. When we look at teacher compensation under our model, we really wanted to try and address what has become a really serious issue within our educational system, and that is that some school districts, because of their location and because of the students that they are teaching, it's more attractive for educators to want to be in that school district in comparison to other school districts. And in order to really give those school districts the purchasing power, if you will, to compete with other school districts that have these amenities, if you will, we wanted to really try and attack that issue. But we also wanted to target our resources for teachers in a way in our model that targeted the educational needs of our students and being able to address the issue of there not being enough teachers in certain school districts that are considered to be hard to staff school districts. But we also want to maintain this state and local responsibility and local control at the local level so that they can still make decisions around teacher compensation. So in essence, we engaged in research to identify teacher salary patterns and to determine how teacher salary patterns differ across the state of Ohio in our various school districts by the type of school districts that we have in the state. The Ohio Department of Education identifies 7 different categories of school districts in our state. And so we use those 7 different categories or typologies to identify the salary patterns and how they differ according to those typologies in the state. In addition, when we looked at our compensation for teachers, we wanted to, again, address the issue that the state mandates that school districts pay 14% of teacher salaries into the state retirement system for teachers, and we thought that was a mandate that the state should pay for since we are mandating that districts do that. And so we've included that in our compensation model. And then locally defined benefits such as health care, such as life insurance, we felt those are local decisions being made at the local level by school boards and negotiations with their school districts, and so therefore the state should not have the responsibility to fund local benefits, and so that is not a part of our funding model.